What up, Marsh Pod? Recording this on a Wednesday. We just saw Gotham 5 get a much-needed win over Lakeshore Drive in a game that, had they lost, that probably would have been the podcast, if we're being completely honest with you. A lot of things are going on, and we're going to do a pointless power rankings. We're going to give you the pointless power rankings today that we didn't get to give you on Tuesday, but kind of a blending of the two, because let me just say this. There were plenty of comments after the fact of the reported news about Mackenzie Mbako considering stepping away from SimWorld Hoops and Gotham 5. There's not many updates right now. I'm told that the games this week were the primary focus, and that with some time off now for Gotham 5, their next game is, I believe it's next month. It is. Gotham 5 is off until the 5th. We're going to probably get some news in that time period for Mackenzie Mbako, but let me just say this. I'm not reporting stuff that's not legitimate, okay? So anyone coming out that is saying this is wrong, look, you're entitled to your opinion. But I'm not coming Nick Wright off the top bench here, or the top rope. You might not like it, but I'm not reporting fake stuff, okay? I'm just putting this out there. What I say is not golden, it's definitely going to happen. I'm not implying that, but I trust my sources. I trust what I'm being told, and I'm not going to relay anything that I don't feel comfortable relaying, okay? So I think there's still a lot more to be uncovered in the Mackenzie Mbako story. This win today was a big one. That's all I really got to say on that front. Let's get to the fun stuff, though. The pointless power rankings. We've gone a month since we unveiled part 2 of the pointless power rankings. We'll give you a quick update. That was on February 20th. So I figure once a month, towards the end of a month, good time to kind of reconnect on where we were. Where we are, where we were is Bay Area was our number 1 team. They stayed at number 1 through the first and the second pointless power rankings. Gotham 5 came in at number 2. Originators had jumped to number 3 at that point in time. Showtime was our number 4. Southeast Select was number 5. Lakeshore Drive was 6. SimWorld Europe I had a 7. Spoiler alert, they are not in the top 10, part 3. Lone Star Basketball was 8, Indy Stripes was 9, and then Run DMV was our number 10 team in the pointless power rankings. And I'll say this about Run DMV. What I had written down was belief in their coach has them still there, a ton of shooting, field teams will be able to match them shot for shot. That has been pretty much it. Still a ton of faith in the coach, but what they've exhibited on the court has not quite been there. So, part 3 pointless power rankings. We're going 10 to number 1. Let's get to it. Number 10, Best Coast Ballers. They were in the original Pointless Power Rankings at number 10. They're back into number 10. Their backcourt has been dangerous. Simple as that. They're 4-2. They won tonight. They've looked mediocre in their 2 losses, but they came against Bay Area and Showtime. They haven't quite figured out how to stop great guards. Bronny James had a phenomenal game. But they have certainly figured out how to score on them. And their elite backcourt of Mikey Williams and Darius Outlaw has been phenomenal. So Best Coast Ballers checks in at number 10. We do have, and I'll say this right now, a number of newcomers to our top 10. I think that's a great thing. So our first newcomer coming in at number 9, South America. Look, Patricio Ramirez, first and foremost, he's been a problem, okay? There's no doubt about that. He has been a revelation on the international scene, 11.5 points. What I love about him is he does just about everything. 8 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 1.8 blocks, 66% from the floor. He's a phenomenal basketball player, 6'9". I think he could become a really, really athletic big man if he can develop a mid-range shot. But why are they number 9? Because they have a ton of options. They have 5 guys that are scoring 9 points or more with Enrique Abalume. They've got Jaime Luis Donoso. They've got Mike House, Patricio Ramirez, and then, of course, Adelson Sampaio. They have so many options that allows them to be such a dynamic offensive team. That's why they're coming in at number 9. They've been really impressive sitting at 5-1. Like what they can do and like what they could potentially do, not only now, but also in the long run. So they are our number 9 team. All right, number 8. Also a newcomer, the H-Town Hoopers. H-Town has been this very unique team, and I'm going to say we're recording this before our 9 p.m. tip-offs, or before those games go final. So anything coming up that relates to any of those teams, that's there. But H-Town Hoopers, do I struggle to believe them? Yes, I do. Do I worry about their lack of game-sealing scores? Yes, I do. But do I love their defense and the fact that they stick around long enough and then put teams away? Hell yeah, I do. I absolutely love this defensive team. They are incredibly dynamic defensively. They have, kind of like South America, a ton of scores. They showed that last night in their win over Middle East. They just hung around. They fight. They have no personality like it, but they fight like they're Floyd Mayweather. They're going to take a shot, and they're going to deliver some shots. Now, Floyd can't knock anybody out, but H-Town can. They've proven that. Number 7, newcomer as well, Beasts of the East. Fareed Redmond has truly elevated his game as of late, but they light it up from deep as a team with 3 guys already in double figures in three-pointers made, and that's 12 from Eric Buskey, that's 11 from Elijah Hawkins, and then 12 from Redmond. Levin Cutler is a phenomenal anchor to this team, 8.4 boards with a little playmaking from the post at 2.1 assists per game. They are a really dynamic team. They aren't a team that's going to jump off the page and shock you with their elite talent, but they've got enough guys, 4 dudes averaging in double figures and scoring, that makes you take them serious, and it's time we did. All right, number 6, dropping a spot is Southeast Select. They drop a spot because we had some really good performers and performances. They just jumped over them, but they have what you need to win games. They have a legitimate number 1. Trey Turner continues to be, he entered as the number 1 guy in the league. I'll hear an argument that he's not the number 1 guy. I understand it. I don't think he is, but he's not in that conversation. He's worth a cursory mention after you get through DJ Wagner, after you get through Bronny James. You have to say in that second tier of guys, Trey Turner can be that dude. But why are they number 6 and why have they been so good? Terrell Pearson. He's looked really good as a second banana. They have 4 guys beyond Turner who can score, but what keeps them in this and what has helped them make some of these comebacks is their defense. An incredibly good defensive team. They have a number of guys that can play great perimeter defense, and in a league that's dominated by really good guards, having that ability to shut somebody down is what helps Southeast Select. All right, number 5. Another newcomer, Rocky Mountain Monsters. They have to be undefeated, or they have to be top 5 if they're undefeated. So what you love about them, again, their scoring depth. They feel like they have a guy, though, in Ireland Early who can and will hit big shots when needed, and he's done that. He is a dynamic three-point shooter. He is, I believe, currently leading the league in made three-pointers. Let me just confirm that. He's not. I apologize. He's down to 16 because Kadarius Loftus decided to go nuts a couple nights ago. But he's shooting 69% from deep. Eric Buskey, aforementioned, 75% from deep. And Jaime Luis Donoso, formerly mentioned, also 75%. But Ireland Early is doing it on just ridiculous takes. He is a dynamic piece. He is the lead scorer for that team in terms of we want the ball in this guy's hand. That's something that is going to help them in the long run. It's powered them early on. All right, number 4, staying at number 4, Showtime. Bronny's a one-man machine. You'd like to see them showcase more depth, but look, I get it. If Bronny's on, he's on. And he's been on a lot of times. And it's impressive when he's on. When he had those big nights against Best Coast Ballers, when he had the big night against Bay Area, it is a show unto itself. James Canton beat me to the punch over at ESPN on the CKC comparison, but mark it that I agree with that take. That is a real fear in my book, that you have a really great basketball team and a really great basketball player, but can you have a supporting cast that plays timely throughout the season? So far, Showtime, their one loss, you just kind of brush it off and say, that is what it is. They're legitimate. They've proven to be that. At least I'll say this. Bronny is legitimate, and the pieces around him have fit really well. All right, number 3, big jump. Up from 8, Lone Star Basketball Club. Look, not to toot the horn, but I'm going to do the Rick Blaze. I called it early on. Jace Maguez has looked exactly like I expected him to. Miguez has been a dynamic scorer, 19.6 points per game. He's doing it on high volume, 13 made threes, 48% from the floor. 2.2 assists. He's not just a scorer. He doesn't have to do that when you've got guys like Mark Thomas averaging 3.4 assists. You've got Nitty Gibson, which I bury the lead to get right to him. Gibson has elevated his game. Okay, Nitty Gibson is not the same Nitty Gibson that we saw a year ago for Dallas. Okay, he has been much better, and he has seemed to be excelling in this offense that allows there to just be constant flow of the basketball and know that the ball's coming back to him. He's shooting 47% from deep on 11 made threes. But to me, again, the story is Jace Miguez. He has been far better than I expected him to be, and I expected him to be really good. He's why I took him in the pick 6 that we did with Bob before the season. He's really, really dynamic with the basketball, and he changes the landscape of the game every time he's out there. Number 2, moving up a spot, is the Originators. They're sitting at 5-1, and they have maybe the best player in SimWorld Hoops. DJ Wagner was phenomenal last night against, who was it that they played? The Yacht Club, in a game that was like kind of close until the third quarter, and then Wagner just kind of took over. But Kadarius Loftus, I mentioned he's already the league leader in three-pointers made at 19, 14 points per game, 3 assists. Loftus has just looked really good. But I think the separating factor and what's changed this team from being that number 8 team entering the season in my pointless power rankings is Victorious Ilgauskas. He had an incredible first quarter last night, 7 blocks. The only disappointing part of his game is he didn't get to double figures, and he didn't pass Tyrone Snyder, who is the single game record holder for blocks. He's got 3.2. Snyder does. Ilgauskas has 2.8 on the season. That is what anchors this team, and you could see it last night against Yacht Club. In the first half, Yacht Club was constantly getting downhill. They were constantly getting into the paint, or at least attempting to get into the paint and take shots. And Ilgauskas single-handedly shut that down to the point that later in the game, same drives would be open for Dominic Bianco, for Jay Laster, for Trey Willis, and they would just choose not to shoot because Ilgauskas was there. I mean, on one possession, Dominic Bianco was blocked 3 times by Ilgauskas. That was enough to completely change the landscape of that game. And as soon as the Yacht Club stopped feeling comfortable going inside, and it's not that they weren't shooting the ball well inside, they were shooting it fine, but Ilgauskas was so disruptive that the Yacht Club just decided not to do it anymore. And that's what changed that game, and it's what's changed the Originators from being a team that you looked at and you said DJ Wagner, and you figure it out from there. You say, we've got Victorious Ilgauskas, and we feel pretty confident in that. And I'll mention this. Showtime doesn't not have that, to backtrack, because I said they're a one-man team. You could draw plenty of parallels between the Originators and Showtime. To just go back to Showtime real quick, their scoring is a little more heavily weighted towards Bronny James, but it'd be a disservice to not mention guys like Corey Yams, who's been an anchor of that defense verbally. Mark Chisholm, 6.8 boards, 1.4 steals. Jackson McLean with 1.8 blocks in an absurd 8.6 minutes. Look, I'm not trying to discredit them because I'm going to come back and I just talk about the Originators having this one guy and an anchor. But I just like the anchors a little bit more on the Originators. And then, of course, the number 1 team, staying as they have been, the Bay Area Breakers. 1 loss, and it took, 34 points from Bronny James to do it. Still get a little nervous about their ability to stop a team defensively on the perimeter, but they have so many scoring options. Royce Anderson, Xavier Pope, and Caden Shipp all averaging 15 points or more. Trey Hyman at 10.6 with 7.8 boards. Pope somehow also with 6 rebounds. He's a fiend. He's not what you would expect from your guard, wing, defender. He just does a lot of things so well. What I'm surprised he does so well is rebound. But offensively, they have a really legitimate team. The question is going to be, how do you build this team defensively? I said that earlier in the season. I'll continue to say that. They are very good, but that'll be the one knock on them. But overwhelmingly, this offense is so dynamic that you kind of just let that slide in a lot of cases. It's going to be the one matchups here or there that ends up kind of deciding just how far that team can go. All right, that's our pointless power rankings. We'll be back on Tuesday with some takes over what could prove to be an exciting weekend. Thursday night on SimWorld TV, Lakeshore and Beasts of the East, reigning Trays in Africa. Best of luck to the new African coach, but look, that's not a good basketball team, unfortunately. They've kind of disappointed despite Ajif Ashbenlay being really good. But big opportunities for H-Town Hoopers to keep it going and Rocky Mountain against a good Run DMB team. So, yeah, we'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.